All right, here we go with another one of my very casual Battle for Zendikar inspired decks. This particular deck is all about red-green. Red-green in this standard is a ton of fun. There are some really good cards in it. And again, in this case, I'm matching these cards with a bunch of cards I have from the Avacyn Restored Common Uncommon places that I bought a couple years ago and did absolutely nothing with. Finally, there's another set that's just that slow, and so slow meets slow, match made in heaven. Here we are. Brood Butcher is a 5-drop 3/3 rare that I'm using in this deck. I only have one, and when you drop it, it puts down a token. And I really like this red black, where every time you sacrifice something, you hit something for -2/-2. It's a nice way to, ding a couple of your opponent's critters. Catacomb Sifter, which I think is in the event deck, is also a very nice critter. When you put it down, it also drops a Scion token, and when another creature dies, you scry one. So you're gonna see, if you play these, especially online where I play them a lot, these triggers happening at the same time. You scry for one, you figure out what you have coming, and you scry for one when you kill something with this one, with the butcher. Okay, Blister Pod is your Sakurai Tribe Elder of this standard. It dies and it gives you back a token. It gives you something when it dies, basically, and I got two. Caustic Caterpillar. You can sacrifice it and you can destroy an artifact or an enchantment. It'll cost you two. It's not free, but still it's a 1/1, and it's from Origins. Again, going back to Undying in Avacyn Restored, one of my favorite mechanics of all time. It's great. You sacrifice it, you still have it. That's awesome. Then here, when another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Rod Chambler. That's really good. You put the counter on and it stays on. Very useful card, in my opinion. Of course, one of the greatest cards. Definitely an awesome card for this deck. A card that only gets better with time as more sets come out that can abuse this trigger. And I've made a dozen decks with this card recently online because it's when another creature dies, not just your creature, is your opponent's creature as well. I mean, if somebody swipes the board with 10 creatures on it, this thing is hitting your opponent for 10 and giving you 10 life. It's just an amazing card. In my opinion, one of the best uncommons since I've been playing Magic, since Avacyn Restored. Again, it's New Buddy, it's Sulaport Cutthroat. Now the Sulaport only works for your creatures, all right? But it's a 1/1, so you lose something, you gain something. They're made for each other. They belong in the same deck, so I couldn't wait. The moment that Sulaport was spoiled, I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to be building a bunch of Blood Artist decks, and here I am. Void Attendant, 3-drop 2/3 for 2 mana. Once you've ingested enough, you can get tokens out of your ingesting, and you can do it repeatedly, which is really useful. If you play against somebody who's Delft and you have a lot of mana, you're in great shape. Searchlight Geist, 3-drop 2/1, gains Death Touch, but it takes a lot. It takes a lot. It is a flyer, but it's not bad. Bloodflow Connoisseur, again, when you sacrifice a creature, you put a +1/+1 counter. Not bad. It's all right. Soul Cage Fiend, another reasonable uncommon from Avacyn Restored. Really a limited card. Each player loses 3 life. That means you too when this thing dies. So it's really, I mean, it's a great card in the right situation. Think you're having, you're doing 6/3. You have 6, your opponent has 3, and you have something that can sacrifice it. You won the game. So it's one of those cards where when you look at it, you're like, oh, that's kind of a crappy card. But then when it wins you a game every now and then, you're very happy about it. Driver of the Dead 4/3/2. When it dies, and everything here in this deck is when something dies, because you're going to profit from it. You can return a creature card with CMC converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's all right. A little bit of a fringe effect. You're not going to use it a lot. Another one here, Mindraker, is a similar creature. You can discard, uh, but you also should have, your opponent has to have something in their exile zone for you to trigger. Eyeless Watcher, I love the name of this card. I mean, this is an incredible name. Eyeless Watcher. Whoever came up with that name is a poet. That's just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It's only a 1/1. You drop it, but it gives you 2 tokens. That's not bad, especially if you want to ramp to something big next turn. I've got 2 of those in the deck. Then Skitter Skin, which is, I think, a really nice creature. I find the uncommons in Battle for Zendikar to be generally very good. I'm really having a ton of fun with them. Some even read like rares in Theros. Sorry, Theros. So this is a 4/4/3. It cannot block, but you can regenerate it. So with a limitation, you have to have another colorless creature. Voracious Null, it's a 3/2/2. You got some mana, you can sacrifice another creature, you can put some counters on it. Not bad. Corpse Traders, 4/3/3. It's got an activation for sacrificing a creature. And you can get something out of your opponent's hand. Not bad. Malfield Twins, 6/4/4. When it dies, it leaves behind two tokens. That's also pretty good. Brood Monitor, 6/3/3. Drops 3 tokens when it comes in. That's all right. I mean, I'll take it. You know. Still, it's a 6-drop, so it'll work really well on a very, very slow standard or kitchen table. But if you try to play this thing in modern, you would have lost by the time you get to drop it. Then you have your pair of cards that belong in any sacrifice deck, right? So one is a Lowcaster, Bone Splinters for 1, and you sacrifice your own creature, you destroy their creature. And it's really nice. Destroy target creature, period. Wonderful. Then Altar Sweep, you got to pay a little more. You got to go for 2. And you do the same thing, but instead of destroying their creature, you draw 2 cards. These are great, really. You line up a couple of Altar Sweeps, and you got a bunch of tokens that you can sacrifice, and you're drawing like crazy. And I've done that recently, and it's a lot of fun. Believe me, it's a lot of fun. Then here you have an enchantment. I think Origins is a really, really good set. I'm actually going to pull some more, and maybe I'll post a video about that. Shadows of the Past is an enchantment. When a creature dies, scry 1. Heavy activation cost at 5, but each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Great in multiplayer. If there's 4 of them, you're hitting everybody for 2. So, of course, you're going to have to be dropping critters into your graveyard, but you should be doing that in a deck like this. Then, of course, your complete disregard, so you can ingest 2 of them. A little heavy. But it's all right. This card works out pretty well. And then Great Birthing, I've got 2 of them. Let me see if I can find my headliner so I can put her on the right-hand side. Well, one of them at least. I'll put this one there. So, Great Birthing. Target opponent has to have something in their graveyard. Exiles it. You put a token down. Draw a card. Draw a card. Always pay attention to that, my friends. Draw a card. Very nice. Even at 3, you still get to draw a card. Call of Science. Drop 2 tokens. You're done for 3. Sorcery speed. Unnatural aggression. Unnatural aggression. Really good trigger if you have Death Touch. Or you have a big critter that you want to pair up against one of their small creatures. Pair them up. It dies. And you get to exile it too, so you actually use it as your ingester. Retreat to Hagra, low dropping enchantment, very good. 3-drop gets 2 possible activations, also very nice. It plays with the each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life theme of this deck. Or you can give your creature +1/+0 and gain Death Touch. These 2 cards can actually be played very well together, right? You drop something, it gets Death Touch. You play this, and you kill off something with it. So there you have it. I couldn't wait, really couldn't wait to pair up these 2 buddies in a deck.